They say children are the ties that bind a family, but sometimes that seemingly simple desire turns into an invisible chain tightening its grip on love, strangling trust, and pushing us into the darkness of unspeakable secrets. I once believed that until the truth shattered everything. I am Huy and Mia, a software engineer with a burgeoning career at a leading tech corporation in New York City. I'm a Vietnamese immigrant having come to the US as a child with my family. My life seemed perfect in every aspect. I had a dream job, a modern loft apartment in Tribeca with a view of the Hudson River, and most importantly, I had Mia Davis, the woman of my life. Mia is a talented architect, sharp and full of passion. She's a native-born American with a modern and independent mindset. We met in college in Boston, sharing countless memories from late-night study sessions in the library to cross-country road trips. After 5 years of dating, we married in an intimate ceremony in Central Park, filled with laughter and blessings from friends and family. Everyone said we were a match made in heaven, a perfect picture of American happiness, a fascinating blend of Asian American culture. Our marriage began like a dream. Every morning I would wake up a little earlier to prepare breakfast, and Mia would usually brew coffee. We would discuss our future plans, buying a bigger house in the suburbs, with a yard, upcoming trips to explore national parks, or even dreaming of opening Mia's own architectural studio. Life flowed by peacefully, as sweet as honey. I loved the way her face lit up with a radiant smile every time I came home, or how passionately she would talk about her complex architectural projects. I truly believed this happiness would last forever. But then, after about a year of marriage, the familiar questions started to surface, initially from friends during weekend get-togethers, then from relatives during our weekly video calls. When are you two having a baby? It's been a while since the wedding. Any good news? At first we just smiled and brushed them off. We're taking our time, Mia often replied. I used to joke that we wanted to enjoy our newlywed life a bit longer, or that we were focusing on our careers. We were young, there was plenty of time. However, the pressure gradually intensified, especially from my family. My mother, Mrs. Lan Nguyen, a traditional Vietnamese woman who deeply valued lineage and having male heirs, began to openly urge us. She frequently called from California, where my family lived, repeating the same message. Huy is my only son, the pillar of the Nguyen family here in America. You must have a son to carry on the family name, and Mia, my daughter-in-law, must bear me a grandson to continue our lineage. She spoke in Vietnamese, but with a determined tone over the phone and a gentle smile that, even through the screen, made me feel an invisible burden weighing on my shoulders. She often sent traditional Vietnamese herbal remedies by mail and constantly reminded us about boosting our chances for a baby. Every time we visited home in California, the room my mother had already prepared as a nursery was always neatly cleaned with an oak crib, set up whimsical paintings on the walls, yet eerily empty, a constant reminder of what we lacked. It wasn't just my mother. Even my aunts and uncles in Vietnam and here in the US would frequently call, asking about our progress, as if having children was a mandatory obligation for me. Huy, you must try harder. You've been married for a while now, you have a house, but it's so sad without the sound of children. These words, though coming from love, felt like knives twisting in my heart, reminding me of a dream I fiercely longed for and a heavy responsibility I couldn't yet fulfill. I saw Mia often having to gently lie about the situation to my family, her eyes showing fatigue after each call. She, a modern American woman, had to face traditional beliefs she didn't fully comprehend. I yearned for children, truly yearned. It wasn't just pressure from my family, it was an instinctive, deep-seated craving. I often looked at small children in Central Park with affectionate eyes, a profound longing welling up inside me. I often told Mia about wanting a little princess to hold, braid her hair, take shopping, or a little boy to teach baseball and football. I envisioned a small family filled with children's laughter, afternoons spent together in the park, holiday vacations. I dreamt of the day I'd see my children grow up, educate them, share my passions with them. It was an indispensable part of the perfect life I had envisioned. We tried everything, from tracking ovulation and taking all sorts of supplements to consulting specialists at top fertility clinics in New York. Each time we went for appointments, Mia tried to keep me from joining her in the gynecology room, giving the excuse that it's a private women's matter, you can wait outside. I didn't think much of it, as I trusted her completely. She lied about the results, saying everything was fine, it just needed more time. The doctor says I'm perfectly healthy, Huy. Sometimes things just take time. Let's be patient. I believed her. I was always optimistic and encouraged her. Don't worry, honey, babies are gifts from God. We just need to keep trying and it'll happen. I tried to hold on to hope, to be a strong pillar for our small family, even during the long nights I lay awake wondering if something was wrong. But then after 2 years, 3 years, then 4 years, Nothing changed. Each passing month brought another wave of disappointment. The pregnancy test still showed only one line. That empty room where I had once dreamed of a beautiful crib and children's toys grew colder with each passing day. Mia still tried to appear strong, but I saw the sparkle in her eyes slowly fade. Sometimes I caught her staring blankly out the window, her gaze filled with sadness. I wondered what was going on inside her, but I didn't dare to ask directly, afraid of touching her pain. The silence of the nursery in our dream home grew heavier and heavier. I began to feel a distance creeping between us, a void that couldn't be filled with loving words or hugs. On weekend evenings, instead of going out or dating like before, we often sat silently on the sofa watching TV or reading, each lost in our own world. The ringing of my mother's phone, Mrs. Lan, was always a signal of tension. She called every day not to ask about our well-being, but to remind us about having children. Hey, do you know that our family's descendants are waiting to be born? You can't make this old mother wait forever. She spoke bluntly without reservation. Those words felt like a whip lashing at my conscience, reminding me of my responsibility to the family lineage. I saw Mia becoming increasingly withdrawn. She spent more time at her company, often coming home late or burying herself in personal projects at home. She smiled less, and when I tried to comfort her, she only responded with awkward hugs, as if an invisible wall separated us. I felt helpless. I loved Mia, but my longing to be a father grew stronger each day, and hopelessness gnawed at me. Nights I lay awake, unable to sleep, looking over to see Mia also restless, but neither of us said a word. We were slowly drowning in our own silence. I started to notice small details. Every time I suggested going to the clinic with her, Mia would make excuses to refuse. "You're busy with work, I can go alone." Or, "I can handle this myself, you don't have to worry." When she brought back test results, I noticed it seemed like she always hid a few pages or only showed me the general summaries. I tried to trust, but a seed of doubt had been planted in my heart. My trust in her began to waver. One evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I had followed my mother's advice and gone to a reputable male fertility clinic for another checkup, even though I had been tested many times before and the results were always perfectly normal. I wanted to make sure I had no issues, so there would be no more reason to doubt myself. And this time too, the doctor confirmed I was perfectly healthy. "Mr. Nguyen, all your indicators are excellent. You are fully capable of being a father." I returned home to a dark apartment. Mia wasn't back yet. I turned on the lights and looked into the empty living room. Disappointment and anger welled up. I couldn't understand what was happening. Why couldn't we have children? If I was healthy, then where was the problem? When Mia returned, she found me sitting in the living room, my gaze fixed on her, full of fatigue and disappointment. "Mia," I said, my voice dry, almost emotionless. "I just got back from the doctor. He said I'm perfectly healthy. There are no problems at all." I paused, letting the words hang in the air like a judgment. "So, it must be you, isn't it?" Mia lowered her head, her shoulders trembling slightly. I saw tears beginning to roll down her cheeks, falling onto the floor. I knew this day would come. She tried to keep her voice calm, even though her heart was churning. I don't know either, Huy. I've tried my best. I've taken medication, done everything the doctor asked. Maybe it's just not meant to be for us to have children." Her voice faded, almost a whisper, but I could feel the immense pain in it. "No way!" I abruptly stood up, my eyes wide with confusion and despair. I dreamt of a family with children. I dreamt of our children, Mia. I envisioned a future with them, with children's laughter in this house. I saw them running around. I imagined teaching them basketball, driving them to school. Why would God take that away from me? Why us? I can't accept this. My voice cracked, filled with uncontrollable disappointment. I saw tears streaming down Mia's cheeks, but she still didn't lift her head. I looked at her, seeing the profound agony in her eyes when she briefly looked up at me. I wanted to hug her, to tell her we would find a way through this, but a chilling sensation crept into my heart. Something wasn't right. Her silence, her clumsy lies about the test results, and her avoidance whenever I wanted to go with her. A terrifying thought flashed through my mind. Was she hiding something from me? There was a secret I couldn't reach, couldn't understand. Her silence was like a wall between us, and it only increased the distance. The house grew cold, even with the AC running. From that moment, I knew our marriage was on the brink. In the following days, the atmosphere at home became heavier than ever. We lived side by side, but like strangers, our conversations revolving only around work and superficial pleasantries. Dinner, once a time for us to share about our day, was now marked by a terrifying silence. Mia spent less and less time at home. She claimed work was too busy, requiring overtime at the office. I knew she was trying to escape. Reality, escape me, escape this house, escape the truth. I was slowly realizing, or at least escape my judgmental gaze. My mother, Mrs. Land, no longer maintained her gentle demeanor. She began to interfere more deeply, calling me daily, even personally, flying from California to New York to resolve this family matter decisively. You cannot live your whole life without children," she told me bluntly in front of Mia in our living room. Her voice was authoritative, and I saw Mia flinch slightly. She was sitting on the sofa trying to pretend she didn't hear anything, but I saw her hands clench tightly, her nails digging into her palms. "You are the eldest grandson of the Nguyen family. You have a responsibility to carry on the lineage. You must have children to continue the bloodline. If Mia cannot do that, then you must find another way. Have you thought about surrogacy? Or, worse, you must consider divorce to find someone else who can bear children for you and for this family." She spoke in Vietnamese, but her eyes were fixed on Mia as if trapping her with that gaze. My mother's words pierced my heart like daggers. I felt torn between filial piety and my love for Mia. I looked at Mia. She had her head bowed, her shoulders trembling slightly. I saw her pain, but I didn't know what to do. I tried to defend her, but my mother turned to me with a look of profound disappointment. "Don't interfere, Huy. This is women's business. You must be a responsible man. Don't you see your daughter-in-law is wasting your time? You are young, but time waits for no one." I remained silent. My silence wasn't agreement, but helplessness. I didn't want to hurt Mia, but I also couldn't ignore the burning desire for children within me. I knew it was a terrible mistake that I couldn't protect her then. In that moment, I knew our love was on the brink of collapse. In desperation, I turned to a renowned fertility center on the Upper East Side, one of New York's leading IVF clinics. I had researched the options myself, looking into surrogacy, and it seemed like the last glimmer of hope. They introduced me to a surrogacy program. After several consultations with experts, I brought home a thick folder of documents, placing it on the coffee table one evening. I knew this was an incredibly difficult step, but I felt I had no other choice. "Mia," I said, my voice hoarse, my eyes red from lack of sleep and tension, "I've been looking into surrogacy. There's a woman named Sarah Jenkins. She's a single mother who wants to help infertile couples earn income. She has an excellent profile and she seems very kind. This is our last chance. I know you can't, but I still want to have our child." I looked at Mia. She looked at the folder, her eyes fixated on the picture of a young, beautiful woman with long brown hair and a gentle smile. Sarah, she would be the one to carry my child. The child I had once dreamed of, but not born of Mia. My heart ached, but it was the pain of helplessness, of a final hope. I knew Mia was trying to endure, but seeing the smile of another woman who would carry my blood made me feel a bitter pang. Her face was expressionless, but I knew deep down she was suffering. The feeling of being replaced, of being abandoned, was more evident than ever in her eyes. I could clearly see the struggle in her grayish-blue eyes. I continued to explain the process, the complex legal steps in the U.S., the need to hire a lawyer specializing in surrogacy law, the signing of binding contracts. Mia listened as if in a daze. She didn't react, didn't ask anything, just listened in silence. I wondered, would she truly accept this? Or was this just desperate resignation? Was this the only solution? Or was this the beginning of a new tragedy? I knew this was how I could have a child, but could I accept a life where my child was born from another woman, and that woman would forever be a part of our lives? I knew things were heading in a direction I couldn't control. The process with Sarah went frighteningly smoothly. Sarah was a very professional and kind woman. She showed no signs of discomfort or demands. She viewed it as a transaction, and she handled it transparently. Mia and I spent time meeting with Sarah, attending appointments with lawyers and the clinic together. I tried to make Mia feel as comfortable as possible, but I noticed she always maintained a certain distance from Sarah, and her eyes sometimes became distant and sad. Whenever Sarah came to our house to discuss plans, Mia tried to limit contact, often excusing herself to work or meet clients. I knew she was trying to hide her feelings, but that awkwardness couldn't deceive me. I tried to reassure her, "Don't worry, Mia. Even though Sarah is carrying the baby, you're still the mother of our child. You're my wife. Our child will know who their mother is." But those words didn't seem to soothe the sadness in her eyes. I simply thought she was jealous or insecure. I had ignored too many signs, too many red flags she had tried to send. And then a miracle happened. After several attempts, Sarah became pregnant. It was a boy. My entire family erupted in joy. My mother, Mrs. Land, flew to New York and threw a huge celebration, inviting all our friends and relatives to share in the happiness. I looked at my mother cry with joy, knowing I hadn't disappointed her. I held Mia's hand. She tried to smile, but I felt the awkwardness in that smile. Deep down, I sensed an emptiness, an indescribable pain from her, and that bothered me. I wondered, was this truly the happiness I had sought, Or was it just a facade for another pain? When Sarah was 6 months pregnant, an unexpected accident occurred. She was involved in a serious car accident on her way home after a routine prenatal checkup. I received a call from the hospital. My heart stopped. The situation was critical. Doctors informed us that Sarah's life was in serious danger and they would have to prioritize saving the mother. This meant the baby might not survive. I completely collapsed. I rushed to the hospital, seeing Sarah lying motionless on the hospital bed, covered in tubes and wires, machines beeping incessantly. My mother also flew immediately from California. We sat by Sarah's bedside, holding her hand tightly, praying. Seeing the hope for my child about to vanish, I felt like I died and came back to life. Mia was there too. She didn't say anything, just stood silently beside me, holding my hand tightly, her eyes red. I saw that she was hurting no less than I was, and that surprised me. In that chaotic moment, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Dr. Robert Wilson, a renowned obstetrician from Boston whom Mia had once mentioned as an old friend. "Huy!" Robert said, his voice urgent. "I know what happened to Sarah. Mia contacted me beforehand. I have a new medical procedure, a groundbreaking surgery that could save the baby, but it's very risky. Only a specialized team of the best doctors at Johns Hopkins can perform it. And more importantly, the cost is immense, and it requires the consent of both the biological parents and the surrogate mother." I was stunned. Mia had contacted him beforehand. Why didn't she tell me this wasn't like her? "How much is it?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Very expensive, and it needs to be done immediately. We have a team of specialists ready." "I discussed this possibility with Mia when Sarah first became pregnant," Robert said. I didn't hesitate for a second. I immediately went to my mother and suggested we take Sarah to Johns Hopkins. My mother looked at me with surprise. "But the cost and the risk?" "I'll take care of all the expenses, Mom, don't worry," I cut her off. "And the risk? It's a risk we have to take for our son, Mom, for your grandson." I tried to use logic to persuade her, knowing how important lineage was to her. Mia stood there looking at me with gratitude mixed with a hint of something unreadable, as if there was something hidden deep in her eyes. "Huy," she said, her voice hoarse. "I'll help you. I'll contact Robert to arrange everything. You just focus on Sarah." I was still worried, but eventually agreed. We arranged for Sarah to be immediately transferred by medical aircraft to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. The surgery was long and incredibly tense. Mia and I waited outside the operating room, holding hands tightly, a silent prayer echoing between us. Hours later, the doctors finally emerged, looking tired but visibly relieved. The surgery was successful, Sarah was stable, and the baby was saved. A miracle. While waiting for Sarah to recover, I met Robert alone. I needed to clarify everything. "Robert," I asked, my voice serious, "why did Mia contact you beforehand, and why did she know about this surgical procedure immediately?" Robert sighed, looking at me with a grave expression. He led me into a small room, closing the door. "Huy, I think it's time you knew the truth. I was the one who performed emergency surgery on Mia many years ago when she was still a student in Boston. She had severe complications after an unsafe abortion. That surgery caused serious damage to Mia's uterus. She was almost unable to get pregnant again. I advised her to tell you, but she was too afraid. She was afraid you would abandon her, especially since she knew you were Vietnamese and valued lineage so much." Robert paused, looking directly into my eyes as if wanting me to understand every word he spoke. "But that's not all, Huy. After she learned she couldn't get pregnant, Mia didn't give up. She spent years quietly searching for every method, every tiny hope. She devoured medical texts, participated in infertility forums, and researched countless treatment options. She secretly met with various specialists, sometimes in other cities, seeking a different answer, a ray of light. She had to go through many cycles of ovulation induction, hormone injections, and undergo complex procedures at clinics without you ever knowing. She endured physical pain, medication side effects, and the emotional collapse when time and again the result was still zero. She thoroughly researched in utero fetal surgery methods because she always hoped that one day, if she could get pregnant, she would have enough knowledge to protect the baby. She did all of that alone in silence, simply because she loved you, Huy. She wanted to give you a child. She wanted to fulfill your dream, even knowing she couldn't herself. This shock hit me like a lightning bolt. My entire world crumbled. I stumbled, losing my balance. Disconnected pieces in my mind suddenly clicked into place brutally. Mia's aloofness, her clumsy lies about the test results, her avoidance whenever I suggested going to the clinic with her, and that deep sadness in her eyes I had once seen. She wasn't selfish. She was a woman carrying immense pain, a secret she had to keep to protect me, to keep me by my side. I didn't feel angry. Instead, an infinite sorrow welled up. What had Mia been through? She had endured physical pain and then emotional torment for all those years alone. She had lived in fear, riddled with guilt, all because of a past mistake, a mistake she had to pay dearly for. And I was a blind fool too, engrossed in my own longing to realize the pain of the woman I loved. I had been too careless. I had been too stupid not to see the struggle within her. I ran out of the hospital searching for Mia. I needed her. I needed to apologize to her. I had to face the truth no matter how harsh it was. I found Mia sitting alone in the hospital's quiet garden, her eyes staring blankly into space. She looked much thinner and her face was filled with fatigue like a stone sculpture. I sat down next to her, gently taking her hand. Mia flinched, then turned to look at me, her eyes wide, filled with shock and fear. "You know what?" she whispered, her voice trembling, almost inaudible. "I know everything," I said, tears streaming down my face. "I know about your past, about that accident, about you not being able to have children." I told her about my conversation with Robert. "Why didn't you tell me, Mia? Why did you keep this terrible secret alone for all these years?" Mia looked at me, her eyes beginning to overflow. She collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. Her whole body trembled. "I was scared, Huy. I was scared you'd leave me. I was scared you'd hate me. I was scared you wouldn't accept a flawed woman like me. I love you so much I didn't want to lose you, especially since you're Vietnamese, you'd never accept me. I tried my best to hide it. I tried to live a normal life, but that fear gnawed at me every day. I'm sorry I deceived you. I'm sorry I disappointed you." Her voice was choked with sobs. I held her tight, feeling her trembling in my arms. It wasn't the cry of sorrow, but of liberation, of a burden lifted, of years of lonely struggle with obsession and secrets finally exposed. "Mia," I whispered, kissing her hair, "you don't have to apologize. I'm the one who should apologize. I'm sorry I didn't see your pain. I'm sorry I was blind, selfish, only thinking of my own desires without seeing you suffering. I'm sorry I let you fight alone." We sat there holding each other, our tears mingling. The truth, though painful, had broken down the invisible wall between us. It didn't push us apart. Instead, it pulled us closer than ever before. I realized my love for Mia was greater than any desire for a biological child. Love is acceptance, understanding, and sharing. I understood that a family is not built only by blood, but by sincerity, selflessness, and unwavering trust. In the days that followed, we spent time talking, healing our wounds. Mia told me in detail about her past, about the nights she had nightmares, about the constant fear that the secret would be exposed. I listened, my heart tearing. I realized I had been too careless, too focused on my own pain, to forget that her pain was infinitely greater. Rebuilding trust was a long and difficult process. Mia couldn't immediately trust me completely. She was still reserved, still had moments of contemplation and worry. I had to prove to her that I would be by her side no matter what. I spent more time at home, helping her with work and patiently listening to her whenever she wanted to share. We started attending marriage counseling sessions to learn how to communicate more openly, how to face difficult problems together. It was a bumpy road, but we were determined to walk it together. Sarah gradually recovered. After our son Leo was born healthy, we held a private meeting with Sarah and her lawyer to discuss the future. Sarah was a wonderful woman. She understood her role and wanted Leo to have a happy family. We decided to maintain a good relationship with Sarah. She would be an important part of Leo's life, like a dear aunt. We wanted Leo to grow up with understanding and gratitude, not in secrecy. Mia and I brought Leo home to our apartment. The empty room I once thought would house a crib was now a cozy nursery filled with toys and love. I watched Mia hold Leo, her eyes brimming with affection. She was the mother of my child, even if she hadn't carried him. She had fought, had sacrificed, and had accepted pain to have this moment. I saw the invisible scars in her soul slowly being soothed by Leo's presence. My mother, Mrs. Lan, was incredibly shocked when I told her the entire truth about Mia's past and her sacrifice. She didn't say anything for a long time. I saw her break down, and I knew she was confronting her old prejudices, her notions about lineage and bloodline. She flew back to California immediately afterward, and I thought she would never accept Mia. The fear of my mother's disapproval added to my pressure. I was her only son, and my mother's acceptance of Mia was extremely important to me. I had thought about having to choose between my family and my wife and child, a painful choice I didn't want to make. But then something unexpected happened. A month later, she called me. Her voice was weak, full of remorse. "Huy son, I'm sorry. I was too selfish, too blind. I only thought of myself and not of Mia's feelings. That girl has suffered so much. I was wrong to put pressure on you and Mia." Mrs. Lan flew back to New York this time, not to urge or reproach, but to apologize to Mia. She embraced Mia, tears in her eyes, and said in English, something I rarely heard her do, "Mia, my dear, I am so sorry. You have sacrificed so much for Huy for our family. I was wrong. You are my daughter-in-law and Leo is my grandson. No matter what, I love you both." In that moment, I knew my family had truly been healed. It wasn't just forgiveness, but a deep understanding from a mother who had overcome traditional prejudices to embrace love. She started visiting us regularly, cooking traditional Vietnamese dishes for Mia and Leo, and even learning to play with Leo using modern toys she didn't understand. I saw the first true smiles on Mia's face when she and my mother took care of Leo together. Our marriage isn't perfect, but it has become more authentic than ever. We've learned to love unconditionally, to forgive, and to face the truth no matter how painful. Leo is living proof of our love, a love that has overcome the darkest secrets and unimaginable pressures. I still often remember those sleepless nights, the silent arguments, and the fears that once haunted us. But now, looking at Mia smiling radiantly beside Leo, I know I made the best decision of my life. I found true freedom not in having a biological child in a traditional way, but in accepting and loving a wonderful woman who taught me the meaning of sacrifice and selflessness. Happiness isn't a flawless, perfect picture, but cracks healed with love and understanding. Our lives will never be without Sarah, the woman who helped us have Leo, and we are forever grateful to her. I often sit next to Mia watching Leo sleep peacefully in his crib. I hold her hand, feeling the warmth of her hand. I once thought love was a weakness, something that could be destroyed by shortcomings. But now I know it is the greatest strength, capable of overcoming all calculations, all fears, and even the darkest secrets. Our marriage began with a scar, but it ended with a heartfelt vow, a promise to be together forever, no matter how turbulent life's waves may be. The empty room has been filled with laughter, hope, and boundless love. The story of Huy and Mia is a challenging journey, proving that sometimes the truth, however painful, is the key to healing the deepest cracks in love and family. It shows how societal and familial pressures, especially traditional beliefs in a modern context, can push people to the brink, but also how selflessness and genuine love can pull them back. What do you think about Mia's decision to hide her past? Would you have done the same if you were in her shoes, especially facing a traditional family? And did Huy's way of confronting the truth, as well as his mother's reaction, surprise you? Leave your comments below and share this story with your friends to reflect on the limits of love, sacrifice, and the twists of fate. Hit the like button if this story touched your heart, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more emotional stories and unexpected twists. Thank you for listening. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.